Hello guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's on the bench, and here we are back with part 3 now of this build of this Great Wall Hobby 1/144 scale Me323 Gigant, however you say it. But this will be the third and final part, as I say. So as you can see, I've got the green and the dark green camouflage down. These I've done the first time I've ever used them, I think, from memory. And this is number 17 and number 18. This is RLM 70 black and RLM 70, sorry, black green and RM 71 dark green. So that's the two colours there. These were actually, well, they weren't given to me because I gave the bloke some money, but a guy gave me about 100 bottles of paint, and there was a lot of these Mr. Colour paints in there. So I've tried them for the first time, and there's the yellow that's around the back there, you can see, and that's the RLM 04 yellow, number C113. Whoops, oh Christ, how to break your model in one easy lesson. So basically, yeah, really happy with those. They are wonderful paints. You literally thin the living daylights out of them, and yeah, as you can see, they go down beautifully with a slight sheen, and they cover amazingly. And because, I mean, they're probably 80% thinner as I put them down with. They are quite old, so they may have thickened up, to be fair, but yeah, absolutely incredible. And the coverage, I mean, that yellow stripe is sprayed over a green base and it just covered beautifully. So yeah, really pleased with that. So there we go. So I've done the top side first. Now normally I would do the underside first and then mask up and do the bottom side. The trouble is with this one, because you're trying to get in here and everything, now we want a soft line on the bottom. I've noticed when you look at photographs and when you look on here, the demarcation between the blue and the green is a soft line, as you can see. So straight away you think, well, I'll put a blue tack sausage in there and just spray it. The trouble is, if I'd done the underside first, you can imagine trying to get in to do the green on here and not sort of get the wrong angle, because if you get the wrong angles with the two different colours, you'll end up with the dark green sort of stepping down and then that one will step up, because if you don't have the exact same angle, they won't blend. If you can imagine, you know, if this is the mask and here's my airbrush, you know, if I keep exactly the same angle, it'll be fine. The dark green's there and the light green's there. But if I do the light green like that and then do the dark green like that, the light green will go further underneath the sausage. So I thought what I'd do is do it the other way around, because this area in here is quite difficult. I'm also going to have to mask up the fuselage, if you like, of the aircraft, because this spar here has got to be done blue, as has this one. There we go. That's what I broke when I hit it. Look. So never mind. We'll repair that in a second. So yeah, other than that, all looking great. The canopy's on, all masked up and everything. Got these little windows here masked up. I haven't fitted the turrets on. I've got masking on there so they get the RLM2 inside. But basically now what I've got to do is think about how we're going to go about spraying that blue. We've got to get us. They're showing a hard edge on the engines. I must go and check my references actually, because they're showing a soft edge on the wing but a hard edge on the engines. And if you remember, some of these were converted from gliders, so I'm kind of guessing there would have been a hard edge perhaps, because maybe the engines were painted separately. I know that the instructions show you to paint the engines here dark green, whereas the wing is light green. I haven't gone perfectly up to the line, but once I get some dirt and stuff on there, then it probably won't notice. I could always go in and touch it in with a brush or something. I've got a couple of areas where I've scratched it. I've scratched it there. You can see there, and you can see I've scratched it down in there, down just by the wing root. So that's going to have a little touch up before we get a gloss coat on there for decals. Yes, I know a lot of you are going to say you don't need to put a gloss coat down. You don't. You can put decals straight down on a finish like this. You'd probably be absolutely fine. And if they were cartograph decals, I may well risk it. But I've heard, I've never done them, I've never used them, but I've heard Great Wall Hobbies decals are quite thick and don't like going down. So I'm not going to take any chances. So you can see we've got the doors done here. They show you on the front of the box and they tell you in the instructions that this inside here should be RLM02. I disagree, because the inside of there would have been the red canvas colour and the framing might have been RLM02. But it looks like, from all the pictures I've seen, it looks like they painted this area dark green so that when the doors were open on the ground, it wouldn't be an eye catcher for any enemy above. And we've also got these little bob weights and everything to go on the undersides of the flaps or the ailerons. So we've got those to do as well. So we'll get them on before we do the bottom. And then once we got all that done, we're ready to start painting some light blue paint. Got the antenna as well. I've done these in the dark green and then realised they should have been done in the, well, it is dark green, but that's not black green. They're painted in black green. So I'll get on, get some more done, and we'll be away. And if you're just wondering, these here are just paper rolls. It's just a roll of paper held in with a bit of masking tape just to stop the paint getting up inside the engine cowlings. So being stupid really, but a bit over fussy. But there we go. So as I said, I'm going to get some work done and I'll come back. There we go, guys. You can see I've done the I need to put some more paint there actually. In fact, I'll do that now while I think of it. Just get some of the blue down in there. Doesn't really matter if it's blotchy because we want it blotchy. It makes it more interesting, artistic license and all that. But as you can see, what I've done is masked all the sides here and here so that I could do those supports. So we can remove all that masking tape now, and oh, it's stayed together. Look at that, bloody typical. So it's formed like a loop, which is what I don't want. Get off, come on. You don't want it to stick. It sticks like shit to a blanket, and when you do want it to stick, tweezers just pull it away, don't they? You all know what I mean. Right, so now we've got that like that, we can also remove that piece. We can come along and have a go at getting a nice sort of soft edge on here. Now this is yeah, the paint's too thick, it's spattery. So I'll get that done off camera and then I'll be back. There we are, all done. Happy that it's come out. Little bit soft perhaps. I've realised I'm doing this with my bloody knackered airbrush with the knackered needle, so I can't get a fine edge. But looking at reference pictures, it is very, very soft. It's like they just threw it on in the field. So I may leave it like that. It is very soft and probably not quite correct at this scale, but I don't know. I mean, I could actually come in with a new airbrush and just fog in some of the darker green over the top of it, or maybe even with a cotton bud. Get a new one, Nige. The cotton bud with some moisture, if I could wipe away some of that overspray. Looks like I probably can. But I think I may just, we'll see. We'll see how it looks. I mean, when it's got the decals on there, it's going to break it up. But if you look at pictures of real ones, I mean, I've never seen a plane vary so much. But they do have a very, very soft edge on the camouflage underneath. But that's looking like a Gigant to me, certainly from that angle. So we'll let that dry and get it done. You can see I did all the white tack sausages for the leading edge of the wings and the engines. So they seem to vary as well. So I don't think there's anything that's particularly right or wrong with these. I think you can just do what you want, really. But there we go. So we've got the RLM, what is it, RLM 65 underside. And then we've got RLM 70 and 71 on the top. So there we go. Right, let's get all this off and then we'll let it dry and give it a clear coat and see what we're going to do about this fading it all in. Okay, so many days later now, I have gone round and I've basically remastered the green and gone around and just touched it and then blew in the bottom again with my new airbrush. I've got a brand new airbrush. The old one, as you know, I was using had a knackered needle, and that's why it was spattering so much, I think. But basically, things have now improved. So we've got a nice sort of to scale. Yeah, it's very difficult at 1/44 scale to get that sort of nice sprayed on, faded look, but we got it there. Some of you may notice there's a clear part in there, a clear part in there, and there's a clear part in the bottom of each nose section. Now, I'm not sure if they're supposed to be ground lights or windows or what they are, but they were horrible because they didn't actually have a hole through them. And these in here, because they're on an angle, they were kind of a wedge shape when they went in. So when you actually looked at it, all you saw was the back of the clear part, if you like. It was horrible. So I couldn't see any on some of the Gigants I looked at, so I just sanded them over. You can just see a witness there. And this is one of the things I want to talk about. When you use lacquer thinners and stuff, and you've repaired stuff with Mr. Surfacer, if you put the paint on wet, your primer or whatever, you will always end up with it sort of eating into the seam. And as you can see here, I don't know if you can make this out, Yeah, you can. You can see there's a line around each leading edge and it goes over the wing where the wing joint is. Now, that is, what you could do is give it a clear coat and then sand it back to get rid of it. What that is basically where the Mister Surfacer primer has eaten into the Mister Surfacer that's in there. So if you want to avoid that, best thing to do is put some use super glue or something, or a filler that won't be attacked by the Mister Surfacer. So the Mister Surfacer has actually sunk back and also been attacked by the actual the paint going over the top. But it's okay because it's very, very neat and it's very even, and it kind of matches the panel lines, so I'm not really worried about it. We don't have any lines in the middle of the fuselage, which is nice. There's nothing going on here. There's a bit of a witness there, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to weather this too heavily. I'm just going to give it a little bit of streaking, perhaps, maybe a bit of post shading. We shall see. But I've basically gone over now with the Hullclad Aqua Gloss. More on the Aqua Gloss. Apparently, Mr. Hobby. Not Mr. Hobby, Ammo, where did I get Mr. Hobby from? Mig Ammo have bought, it sounds like they've bought the company, and the paint is still being made in the UK, shipped to Spain, and then coming back over here. They've actually, I did mention in one of my chats, they've actually been in touch with me and asked me if I want some samples to test, so I've said like, yeah, and so we'll go from there. So basically, I'm now ready to get some decals on. We've got the decals here. It's a nice little sheet. As I say, never built Great Wall hobby kit before. A lot of carrier film on there. But I do remember Doug's Models building one of these. We're building a Great Wall hobby kit and complaining about the decals. So I thought I'll give it a gloss coat. Although this has got quite a nice sheen to it, I thought I'll give it a gloss coat just to give the decals more of a fighting chance. So you can see on here, we've got, in the kit, we've got 3 options. Stuck to there. We've got 3 options in here. So we've got this one down here from Hungary, we've got this one here from Tunisia, and this one here from Italy. I've gone for the Hungarian one because I wanted to do my tanks grey, and also I like the yellow band around there. So shame I haven't got more yellow on it, but never mind. So I'm going to go on now and get these decals on, and then I'll come back and I'll let you know how they look. And for the sensitive ones out there, be warned, I am going to be putting swastikas on the tail. Okay, it's been a couple of weeks since I picked this up, as you can clearly see by the stickers, so we're sort of almost up to date now. So I've done the decals, and all I can say is they were horrible. Now, I have spoken to Sue because she recently built a Great Wall Hobbies F15 and had no problem with the decals whatsoever. So it's obviously not a common theme, although I have heard when Doug's Models did the Great Wall Hobbies Chinese Su-27 thing, he complained about the decals then being very, very thick. Now, I wouldn't say these decals are very, very thick, but you can see you could definitely see the carrier film and everything on them. So I'm going to give them a gloss coat and try and seal them in, and then a flat coat everything. The reason I put a gloss coat down is because very much like this sticker, you can see here, this Red Fox sticker, it has an edge, okay, that can be peeled up. So basically, if I put a wash or anything on there, it's going to go around that edge. And if I don't seal the decal in, it will go around the edge. What I want to do is put a clear coat, almost like a layer of sellotape over there, so the edge is not there anymore. And that's why I do. I put a clear coat there, possibly then give it a very light sand back, and then not sand back the place, sand back down, and then go from there with a flat coat. So that's what I'm going to do. But the reason I say these decals are horrible, I mean, there's no problem with the register, there's no problem with the colours, the carrier film is very large unnecessarily. Okay, I could have cut some of it off. But I think now you can see why I clear coated, because that carrier film is quite, well, they are a bit on the thick side. But they've gone down lovely. I use I keep saying Solver Set, Micro Set and Sol, and they've gone down okay, so absolutely fine. The biggest problem with them is they would not come off the paper. I let them soak for like 10 minutes in the water, and they just would not come off the paper. And these big long ones here were quite a problem, and these here as well, these have the long carrier film. Now, I should have cut that carrier film off actually in hindsight, but yeah, they left 10 minutes in warm water and they just would not, and then when they came off, they were fine. They would slide around on the water, but they were really stuck to here like the proverbial to a blanket. So you have been warned. So what I'm going to do now is give this a gloss coat. I'll give it some aqua gloss just to sort of seal them in a bit. Let that dry, perhaps sand it back a bit, and then give everything a flat coat. So there you can see, there's another reason for gloss coating. You can see all that carrier film has now completely disappeared. So that's cool. And they're all sealed in. There's no need to gloss coat the whole thing, just gloss coat the area where the decals are. So they're all sealed in now, so you won't get this edge. You can still see an edge there, but instead of being an edge like I said on this sticker, it will now be an edge like if you can imagine if I put a piece of sellotape over there, you'd feel it, but it's actually not an edge, it's sealed in. So that's why I do that. And there we go, I've got all these little greeblies to go on here afterwards as well. So what I'll do now is give it a flat coat. In the meantime, the other thing I've done while I've been off camera, I've painted all the propellers and the spinners. I put the spinners in nose down first, painted the backs of them, then turned them over and painted them so they're actually painted inside and out, as you can see, so you don't get grey bits of plastic showing through on the edges. So there we are, so that's all ready to go once that's dried. I'll probably give those a gloss coat as well, and then a flat coat just to toughen the paint up a bit. We'll probably just give them a flat coat for the LP23, is it? LP23 is flat clear, yeah. I'll probably just give them a coat of flat clear because that's Tamiya XF27 black green, and it's not very hard wearing directly on the plastic. So there we are. We're really getting this one to a close now. So I'll do the flat coating and then I'll come back again. And there we go. That's been done with LP23. So as you can see, it has a very slight sheen, but overall it's a very nice finish, and it's a very tough finish as well. So that's that all done. So, and you can see after only a few minutes I can handle it, but I'm going to leave it sort of at least 18 hours before we do anything else. I may put a wash on this, I don't know. My fear is, obviously any panel lining that's on here is way over the top for 144 scale. If you think of these panel lines, probably, you know, 0.2, 0.3 millimeters wide, times that by 144, I mean 0.3 of 144 is what, nearly 50 mil. So they'd be like 50 millimeters wide in scale, but they put them there for a bit of interest, so it's not just a slab. So I think putting a wash in there is a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit daft. So I may well avoid the washes. I may not even weather this. I may just put a little bit of exhaust streaking on there. I've got to paint the exhaust, get them fitted. I've got to paint up these air intakes, whatever they are. You can see now where I drilled them. So that was worth doing. I've also got to unmask everything, but I won't do that yet until I'm sure that all the matte coating is done. We've matte coated the nose part here, and the spinners and the ramps, and then matte coated the propellers as well. So like I say, I'll leave all that now for about 18 hours before I start playing with it. And then and there's Jess. She's just heard a van pull up or something, so she probably thinks I've got a parcel coming. I mean, whoever, I don't get anything delivered, do I? I never buy a mall or anything. So anyway, I'll see you in a minute, probably like tomorrow for me, but in a minute for you. Here we are, 24 hours later, and I'm going to look at getting these front doors on. You can see here we have the option of having them closed, or we had those hinges and there, and I didn't actually glue the hinges in. You can see them just sticking out here. So what I'm going to do is pull this tape away, because everyone loves an unmasking, don't they? Pull that tape from there. I did this here in like a deck tan colour because it looks like it's probably canvas. So there we are. So that's the wood on the bottom. So there's wood on the bottom of that cockpit floor, and then there's canvas wrapped around the side. So that's looking good. We can see now with the camouflage and the red and all that, it's starting to really take shape. So these bits here, I painted them RLO2, but I don't think I should have. I think I should have painted them in a dark green. So we're going to have to brush paint them in with something, or just perhaps put a wash on them or whatever. I don't know, we'll do something with them. So let's get a sanding stick and just sand away our sprue nibs like so. And then the same on this side. Right, and then these are going to fit, I'm guessing, in here somehow. Okay, so that's that side, so that's a frame. That is clearly a frame that's going to hold them in on those hinges, I guess. And these hinges, because they're not glued, they will, you can see here, they do actually go, you can see they go in and out. So there we go, they slide back in and then you can pull them out. So I'm guessing that door is going to hook onto there. Have a look at, I'll get one of these done and then I'll show you. I'm not going to do it on camera because I just don't know how it works myself. Right, so we got the doors on. What a nightmare those little hinges are. But we got there in the end. I used the extra thin quick setting and got them on lovely. So they're all nice now. I thought they might open and close, but they don't. So they're just going to have to remain open. It's like a bloody great whale just waiting to eat its lunch, isn't it? So that's that done. I've also noticed in the kit they give us these these windows here in the front where the guns go. They're all masked up at the moment, but don't give any guns to go in there. So I've unmasked these as well, those wing gun ports. So we've got these little rings here that are going to go on. So we've got a propeller. Luckily they don't have any yellow tips on the propeller or anything, so we're going to put, in fact I'll start on the inboard. I would imagine if they started these engines with the doors open, the propellers would have hit the doors, but so that's going to go on there like that. So yeah, they would hit the doors. Right. And then we'll get one of these tiny rings off of here. And I'm kind of hoping they're going to be a push fit because, oh no, there's a bit of sprue on there. We'll get that off. And then try and put that on there. I shouldn't be doing this with the camera on, should I? Because I'm going to mess this up, I know it. Let's get this in my tweezers without throw. There we go. I threw it across the room. Where did it go? It landed here. There it is. That was lucky. So I tell you what, guys, I'm going to do this off camera and then I'll come back. I don't want to be trying to talk and film at the same time with this because this is awful. And also I've noticed they have put the sprue nib on the back of the part rather than on the outer diameter, so that needs taken off as well. Don't do this at home, kids, you'll cut yourself. Oh, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we got them on. That was a nightmare. Those things are tiny little rings go on there. So we got that done. I put a tiny drop of extra thin quick setting on there, which I always do with moving parts, because then if it does stick up, you can break it away and it will free off. As you can see, some of them are tighter than others, but I don't want to spin the props anyway. There we go. So that's that done. So now we can fit the spinners. Whoops, drop one of the ramps on the floor. I'll get that in a minute. So the spinners fit on over those rings, and no doubt we're going to get the props all glued up now. As you can see, they go on there and they really look the part, and we can see absolutely nothing of the engines that I spent so much time working on before. So there we are. I think we're going to have to resign ourselves to the fact we are not going to have spinning propellers. Not to worry. This will go on a shelf somewhere and that'll be it. So get that one on. Get that one on. And then just for fun, put a third one on. And there's our propellers all glued up solid now. Just make sure they're all in sort of random positions because we don't want them all looking perfect, do we? There we are. So I'll get the other three done. And then I'll come back and we'll look at, I've got to get these guns painted up. I need to cut them off so I can put them in. We've got the guns to go on the top. We've got the clear parts to go on the turrets. So I'll get all that done. and then I'll be back. And then we've got these little greeblies to go on the bottom of the wing there. Oh, and the exhaust, these massive exhausts, as you can see. So, see you in a minute. Okay, so we've got the props on. I can't remember if I discussed that already. Got the props on, they're looking good. I've put the little sort of balance weight things on the bottom of the ailerons there, so they're on. This one here is missing because it was broken. They were the small ones here, that one's actually broken off as well. Broken on the sprue. I think it's a problem with the moulding because they seem to be very weak in one area, and I think they're probably hollow. So you can see that one there is broken off as well. Literally, it must have just been touched. So there we go. So that's that. But the rest are on there. You can see them there. They're very, very tiny. They're very, very small. You can see them there by my finger. So they're on. The antenna are on the top. I can't remember if I told you I put them on. I've painted them now in the correct colour. And then I've done the exhausts and painted them in the red-brown Tamiya XF10. I think it was, yeah, XF10. So there we go. I'm not going to weather this because A, I don't particularly enjoy weathering. B, I'm not very good at it. And C, I think weathering this at 144 scale is going to be extremely difficult without making it like a mess. So I'm just going to leave it as like a museum piece. So basically the aircraft is pretty much finished other than the guns. I've got the guns here. I've painted them LP... Was it LP42? LP40? LP40 metallic black. So I think that's quite good for guns at this scale. And you can see they've got a bit of a sheen to them. And I actually airbrushed that neat from the bottle. I didn't thin the paint at all. So that went on really, really nice. One of these guns has to go aside because it's for the half track. So that one there can go back in the box. So we've got to get these guns on. So we got these here. These here are the ones. So we've got that one. Those two there are going to go into those slots in there. So we will... It's hard to see what's actually sprue and what's actually gun here. So we're going to cut those off like so. And then we'll probably have to touch them in on the end. In fact, what I'll probably do is just grab a Sharpie and just touch the end with a Sharpie, and that'll do. Because the Sharpie will be like a gloss black as well. There we are. I'm going to leave them gloss because machine guns probably are quite glossy. And then we've got that tab on the bottom, which should fit into that slot facing backwards. Yeah, like that. Okay, so what we're going to use, I think I'm going to use a little bit of white glue actually because I don't want to damage the paint. So I'll get them glued in and then I'll come back. Moving on. I've got the guns in. I had to cut the barrels off of these guns back here. I got those in the sides there, as you can see. And then we got the guns in on the turrets, and I've put the glazing on the turrets on the top. Not really happy with how they look. I was going to do the black pen around the edge to get rid of that horrible chrome look, but then they would have this horrible black rim, so I didn't really know what to do. So I've just put them on as they are. I think really there's some framework there that needs painting, to be honest. We shall see. But moving on, I want to get the masking off. This gun here, I was sure I was going to get it in there, but I can't get it fully in. It's sort of on its side, but that's okay because quite often the guns did fall on their sides on their mount. But it's in there. We can see the barrel sticking out and it's glued in. I've done all this with ultra glue. All the guns and the clear part there are done with ultra glue, so that's all good. So let's have a look at getting some of this masking off. So if we can just pick up a corner and then get onto the tape like that. I'm not using my precision tweezers from Tom over at Anise because these are so tiny. What I'm worried about is scratching. Can't get under the corner of this one. I mean, you can see that there's bits of masking tape here that you can hardly even see. It's so small. This isn't a masking set. I did this with the the old-fashioned way, and the old school, before we had things like masking sets. I need to make a video actually on how modelling has come on over the years and what's changed, because I'm sure there's a lot of younger modelers out there that wouldn't believe, you know, that we used to make a wash. You know, you actually made it yourself. It's looking good. I'll carry on unmasking it and then I'll be back. And there we go. I did actually end up going around those turrets with a black pen, and I think it looks a lot better. It's still not perfect. That's the problem with clear parts. I wish they'd kind of made them deeper and then we could have gone around the rim. But this is the problem with clear parts. If you don't get the edges, you get that chrome line around there. But overall, I'm really happy with how it's come out. I've done I'm just noticing now, I have tape residue on the windscreen. So we'll get rid of that. It's always a problem with masking tape when it's been left on a while. And I'm absolutely sick and tired of these little bits of tape. I've done all the side windows as well, as you can see here. So they're all looking good where they're unmasked and everything. And I would recommend anyone that's doing one of these do the same as I did. Sand it all flat and then give it a coat of clear, because the windows, as many people have sent me pictures, thank you very much, the windows are definitely flush. And as you can see there, if I can get the light in there, you can see they are definitely flush. I can't even feel them. Well, there's the edge of paint, but that's it. And it's worked out really, really well. It's because of the cock-up that I had. But overall, I'm quite happy with how it's come out. I'll be honest, I haven't enjoyed this final assembly part because everything is so small and easy to break. But I'm glad to say that it's done. I'm going to stick it on the shelf and forget about it and probably never look at it again, because it's been a bit of a task, I must be honest, for such a small model. It's been quite a lot of work, but we got there in the end. We've got the tank and the half track here, which I'm not going to bother with because I'm not doing a diorama. I'm just going to stick this on a shelf and let it collect dust. But I mean, basically you could do a diorama if you wanted to, and you would have these ramps set up in there somehow, like that, like so. If that just would stand up, please, thank you. And then you could have your tank sort of going in or whatever, and a half track sat there, and it does give you some impression of the huge size of the thing. But overall, I'm quite happy with how it's come out, and yeah. Will I do the 30-second scale one? I don't know. Somebody did make a very valued comment back a while ago, and they said, you must remember that, you know, in 30-second scale, one, it's going to be absolutely huge, but two, if you don't have the doors open, it's just a big blob. There's nothing really attractive about it, if you like, but I think attractiveness is in the eye of the beholder, really. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's yeah, you know what I'm looking for, the word I'm looking for. Subjective. But here we go. Overall, happy with how it's come out. It's been a bit of an exercise, it's been a bit of a chore, and it has actually fought me a lot. So there we go. So that's that one done. That's another one for this year, and I shall be back very shortly with you with another video on the Lancaster and the Sky Crane. And actually it's Saturday morning right now, the 11th of March 2023, and the parts for the Spitfire have just turned up from Airfix, so that's good news. So I'll see you all soon. I'll probably get these painted now and I'll show you in another video, but I need to get this video done, edited and ready for Monday. So that's going to be it. Part 3, final, all done, and hope you've enjoyed it. I've kind of enjoyed it. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable. It's a beautiful model. It really is a beautiful little model. If you want to get yourself one, it's it really is. For 35 quid, it's great. But it's been a bit of a handful with all the masking and everything and the mistakes I've made. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for more. Bye for now.